It may seem that fame makes people eternal, but its light is shadowed by life's fragility. In this video, we're uncovering the stories of legendary figures who reached remarkable heights only to meet sudden tragic ends. Join us as we reflect on their journeys, marked by ambition, talent, and ultimately by tragedy. In 2011, Ryan Dunn was a name synonymous with daring stunts and extraordinary bravery. The actor rose to stardom with the Jackass series, where he performed stunts alongside co-star and lifelong friend Bam Margera. Ryan lived for the thrill. Unfortunately, this would cost him everything. Born in 1977 in Medina, Ohio, Ryan Matthew Dunn catapulted to fame in the late 1990s as part of the CKY crew alongside his close friend Bam Margera. The duo's fearless antics, recorded on video, formed the foundation of the wildly popular MTV show Jackass. Dunn became a fixture in the series and its subsequent film franchise, solidifying his reputation as the go-to guy for stunts that others would balk at. Throughout his career, Dunn extended his reach beyond Jackass, hosting shows like Homewrecker and Proving Ground, and appearing in films such as Blonde Ambition and Street Dreams. His talent and magnetism were undeniable, but so too were the personal battles he fought, including depression following a severe injury on the set of Jackass No. 2. But by June 2011, Dunn had returned to his craft. He was working on a film called Welcome to the Bates Motel, and he was in a long-term relationship with his partner, Angie Kuterick. Even more, he had countless fans who adored his willingness to push boundaries. But on the night of June 19, 2011, events took a catastrophic turn. Dunn spent the evening at Barnaby's of America, a bar in Westchester, Pennsylvania, with friends including Zachary Hartwell, a production assistant on Jackass No. 2. The group was reportedly celebrating a new venture, and Dunn, who appeared cheerful and engaging with fans, shared a photo on Twitter showcasing the trio in high spirits. The picture would be his last. At approximately 3:30 a.m. on June 20th, Dunn and Hartwell departed the bar in Dunn's 2007 Porsche 911 GT3. What happened next unfolded with tragic swiftness. Dunn was speeding along Route 322 in West Goshen Township, Chester County, at an estimated 130 miles per hour, more than double the legal speed limit of 55 miles per hour, when he lost control. The car careened off the road, smashing through a guardrail and colliding with a tree before bursting into flames. The violent crash destroyed the vehicle. West Goshen Police Chief Michael Carroll, who oversaw the accident reconstruction, later stated that he had never seen a car destroyed in an automobile accident the way this car was. He described the scene as unbelievable, despite having attended numerous fatal accidents throughout his career. The impact left the vehicle in pieces, charred beyond recognition. Dunn's body was so severely altered by the accident that authorities had to identify him through tattoos and hair. The coroner's report confirmed that both Dunn and Hartwell died from a combination of blunt force trauma and thermal trauma. Due to the severity of the accident and the ensuing fire, it was impossible to determine whether the men succumbed to the initial impact or the flames that engulfed the wreckage. Toxicology results later revealed that Dunn's blood alcohol content was 0.196%, more than twice the legal limit in Pennsylvania. The revelation shocked Dunn's close ones, especially since they had never seen him driving under the influence of alcohol. For some, like film critic Roger Ebert, this sparked controversial reactions. Ebert's tweet, "Friends don't let jackasses drink and drive," was met with swift backlash from Dunn's supporters, leading to an online storm that underscored the emotional impact of the tragedy. Dunn's sudden death reverberated through Hollywood and beyond. His close friend and fellow Jackass star Bam Margera visited the crash site the day after, visibly shaken and mourning the man he called his best friend. Margera later spoke of Dunn's huge talent and kind nature. Other Jackass cast members, including Johnny Knoxville and Steve-O, took to social media to express their grief and disbelief. "Today I lost my brother," Knoxville wrote, echoing the sentiment of countless fans and friends. Fans around the world paid tribute in their own ways. Mourners left flowers at the crash site, and social media was flooded with condolences and memories of Dunn's most fearless moments. Despite the pain, his legacy as a beloved daredevil and an integral part of the jackass phenomenon endured. On October 23, 1983, Jessica Savage was a pioneer in the field of broadcast journalism, a woman whose poise and dedication broke barriers at a time when few women were given the spotlight. Yet, this remarkable life would come to a tragic end, giving way to controversy. Born on February 1, 1947 in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, Savage's path to broadcast fame was forged early. She began her career as a disc jockey and newsreader during her high school years. At Ithaca College, she continued to hone her craft, working as a disc jockey at a local radio station before stepping into television journalism. By 1972, she was a reporter and anchor for KYW-TV in Philadelphia, where she gained recognition for her award-winning documentaries and in-depth reporting. Savage's talent and ambition propelled her to NBC in 1977, where she became the weekend anchor of NBC Nightly News and delivered daily updates on NBC News Digest. She was only the second woman to anchor an evening network newscast alone, a milestone that spoke to her exceptional capabilities. Despite her public success, those closest to her knew of the private struggles she faced, battles with self-doubt, anxiety, and even whispers of substance abuse. The night of October 23, 1983, began as an ordinary outing. Jessica Savage was on a date with Martin Fishbein, her romantic boyfriend and the vice president of the New York Post. The couple dined at Chez Odette, a restaurant in New Hope, Pennsylvania. After sharing a bottle of white wine, the couple was ready to leave. It was a dark, rainy night. They returned to Fishbein's rented Oldsmobile Cutlass Cruiser, with Savage sitting in the back seat beside her beloved dog, Chewy. The rain had intensified by the time they left around 7:15 p.m. Visibility was poor, and the road conditions were treacherous. Fishbein, navigating the unfamiliar area, took a wrong turn out of the restaurant parking lot. The car edged down a narrow, unmarked path that bordered the Delaware Canal's overflowing basin. It veered too far to the left, plunging over a canal wall and flipping upside down into the water below. The station wagon landed in deep mud, effectively sealing the door shut and trapping Savage and Fishbein inside as water filled the cabin. Martin Fishbein died instantly. As for Jessica Savage, she spent the last minutes of her life desperately trying to open the doors and escape, but the doors were sealed shut. Minutes later, Jessica Savage was dead at 36 years old. It wasn't until nearly 4.5 hours later that a local resident discovered the submerged vehicle. By then, it was too late. The Bucks County coroner's report concluded that Savage and Fishbein died of asphyxiation by drowning. Autopsies revealed that neither had significant levels of alcohol or controlled substances in their systems. They had each consumed only a small amount of wine. The autopsy helped dispel the rumors that Savage's alleged use of controlled substances was to blame. A slight head injury was found on Savage, but it was determined not to have contributed to her death. The final minutes of her life were spent in a desperate struggle for survival. There was some speculation about foul play due to Savage's alleged investigation into a high-profile banking scandal, but authorities concluded her death was the result of an accident. Years before, another person had died the exact same way after leaving the restaurant. The news of Jessica Savage's death sent shockwaves through the world of journalism and beyond. Tom Brokaw, who worked alongside her at NBC, highlighted her commitment to paving the way for women in broadcasting, emphasizing her tireless work ethic. Tributes poured in from colleagues and admirers who remembered her not just as a polished anchor, but as a determined woman who shattered expectations and inspired others. Savage's death also reignited conversations about the pressures she faced. She had weathered multiple personal tragedies, including the fact that her second husband had taken his own life, only 2 years prior. The whispered allegations of cocaine use, dismissed by some close friends as unfounded, painted a portrait of a life marked by ambition, vulnerability, and relentless scrutiny. By 1977, Mark Bolan was already a legend of glam rock. His life was defined by meteoric success, marked by both boundless ambition and an underlying fear of a premature death. The frontman of T-Rex captivated audiences with his infectious hits and glitter-laden performances, setting the stage for a new era of music. Yet the prophecy he often hinted at, the feeling that he would not live long, proved tragically true. Born Mark Feld, Bolan began his ascent in the late 1960s with the band Tyrannosaurus Rex, initially crafting a sound rooted in psychedelic folk. However, it was the reimagined T-Rex and their embrace of groundbreaking music that catapulted him to stardom. From 1970 to 1973, Bolan and T-Rex became unstoppable forces. Their album Electric Warrior topped charts, while singles like Hot Love, Get It On, Telegram Sam, and Metal Guru claimed the #1 spot. Bolan's stage presence, complete with glittering makeup and feathered hair, cemented his status as a cultural icon. Bolan's career, however, was not without its challenges. By 1973, his sound began to evolve, incorporating elements of funk, soul, and R&B. Despite these efforts, the glam rock wave began to subside, and Bolan's popularity waned. Personal struggles, including his substance use, accompanied his decline. But by the mid-1970s, Bolan was experiencing a modest revival, drawing crowds eager to relive the magic. On the night of September 15, 1977, Bolan was celebrating his reunion with his partner, fellow musician Gloria Jones. Jones had just returned to the UK after recording an album in the US. They spent the night at Morton's Club in London, laughing, listening to music, and drinking. As the early hours of September 16th approached, the couple left the club in a purple Mini 1275 GT, a choice of car that would later be seen as a dark fulfillment of Bolan's eerie premonition. 29-year-old Bolan had always been afraid of dying young. As such, he had never learned how to drive. Gloria Jones was driving that night as they headed toward their home in East Sheen. Rain-slicked roads made conditions perilous, and as they crossed a small humpback bridge near Gypsy Lane on Queen's Ride, Barnes, the car swerved out of control. For years, it was believed that Mark Bolan had been crushed to death when the car hit a sycamore tree on the side of the road. But in 2012, an eyewitness and friend of the musician revealed that he was killed when the car hit a steel-reinforced fence post. If anything, the tree prevented the car from sliding down an embankment. Regardless, the impact was devastating. Bolan was thrown from his seat, which rotated upon impact. He died instantly from severe head injuries, while Jones, critically injured, survived. In the days that followed, the world mourned the loss of the 29-year-old rock star. The tree at Barnes Common quickly became a site of pilgrimage, adorned with flowers, messages, and mementos left by fans who felt an indelible connection to Bolan's music and spirit. Tributes poured in from his peers. David Bowie, a friend and contemporary, attended Bolan's funeral alongside other musical greats, including Rod Stewart and Steve Harley. Bolan's final resting place at Golders Green Crematorium became another point of homage, his ashes buried beneath a rosebush. Tragically, as record producer Simon Napier Bell later recalled, Mark Bolan had prophesied his death in eerie detail. Chet Baker was one of his heroes, along with James Dean. I told him, "Be careful, you might end up dying in a Porsche," and he quipped, "Oh, I'm just tiny. I'd like to die in a Mini." Bolan's legacy endures through his profound influence on generations of musicians. Glam rock, as pioneered by Bolan, evolved into genres such as punk, new wave, and Britpop, with countless artists citing him as a key inspiration. General George S. Patton, a formidable and complex figure in American military history, was renowned for his relentless drive and brilliant strategic mind. His legacy was cemented through commanding victories during World War II, where he led the U.S. 7th Army in the Mediterranean theater and later the 3rd Army in its sweeping advance across France and into Nazi Germany. Patton's blunt manner and controversial public statements often overshadowed his tactical genius, culminating in a series of clashes with higher command that left him in an uncertain position by war's end. Tragically, his life came to an abrupt end, not on the battlefield, but due to an unforeseen incident that has since sparked its fair share of conspiracy theories. On December 9, 1945, just months after the Allied victory in Europe, Patton was involved in an accident that would prove fatal. He had been in command of the 15th Army, a largely administrative position tasked with compiling the history of the European campaign, a role that would keep Patton on the sidelines. Patton was angry and demoralized. To lift his spirits, Patton's Chief of Staff, Major General Hobart Hap Gay, arranged a pheasant hunting trip near Speyer, Germany. That morning, Patton, Gay, and their driver, Private First Class Horace Woodring, set out in a 1938 Cadillac limousine. The road conditions were typical of early winter, but the journey took a sudden tragic turn. But at some point, while on the road, they encountered a U.S. Army truck suddenly turning left in front of them, attempting to enter a quartermaster depot. Distracted by derelict war vehicles lining the road, Patton commented on the destruction mere moments before impact. The Cadillac collided with the truck at a low speed, but the consequences were devastating. While Gay and Woodring, as well as Patton's beloved dog, emerged unharmed, George S. Patton was not as fortunate. Unprepared for the impact, he was thrown forward into the steel frame of the glass partition separating the driver's seat from the rear. The force shattered vertebrae in his neck, causing a compression fracture that left him paralyzed from the neck down. Patton was rushed to the hospital where doctors worked to stabilize him. Despite their efforts, his injuries were grave. Over the next 12 days, he lay immobilized in spinal traction, attended only by medical staff and his devoted wife, Beatrice, who had flown from the United States to be by his side. Patton, who had often faced death head-on, was now confined to a hospital bed, fighting a losing battle against his own body. On December 21, 1945, he succumbed to pulmonary edema and congestive heart failure, complications of his paralysis. The sudden and shocking nature of Patton's death gave rise to numerous conspiracy theories that would persist for decades. The most outlandish of these suggested that Patton was assassinated to silence his criticisms of post-war U.S. policy and his contentious stance towards the Soviet Union. One claim, popularized in Robert K. Wilcox's 2008 book Target, Patton implicated the Office of Strategic Services, or OSS, alleging that its head, William Wild Bill Donovan, orchestrated the general's death to prevent him from challenging the political landscape or running for president in 1948. A shadowy operative named Douglas Bazata claimed that he was ordered to carry out the assassination, involving a staged accident and a specialized weapon. While these theories stirred public intrigue and inspired further speculative works, credible evidence supporting such claims remains scarce. Most historians agree that Patton's death was, tragically, the result of an accident compounded by misfortune. Despite the swirling rumors, Patton's legacy endures. He was laid to rest on December 24, 1945, at the Luxembourg American Cemetery and Memorial, in accordance with his wish to be buried alongside the men he commanded. Though initially placed among the rows of soldiers, the sheer number of visitors to his grave led to its relocation to a more prominent spot at the front, underlining his legacy. In 1957, Judy Tyler was a 24-year-old star on the rise. Her talent and charisma promised a bright future in Hollywood. Her life, full of potential and burgeoning success, was tragically cut short, leaving behind a legacy that resonated long after her untimely death. Born Judith Mae Hess on October 9, 1932 in New York City, Tyler grew up in Teaneck, New Jersey, nurtured by a show business family that encouraged her from an early age. By her teenage years, she had already begun her career in entertainment, gaining fame as Princess Summer Fall Winter Spring on the popular children's show Howdy Doody from 1950 to 1953. Her Broadway career followed, where she secured a starring role in Rodgers and Hammerstein's Pipe Dream. Tyler's talents were featured on the cover of Life magazine, showcasing her as one of Broadway's promising young stars. She was poised for an illustrious career, moving effortlessly from the stage to the screen. Tyler's foray into Hollywood led her to roles that showcased her range and magnetism. In 1957, she landed her biggest role yet, starring opposite Elvis Presley in Jailhouse Rock, playing Peggy Van Alden, a music promoter and love interest to Presley's character. This role was meant to propel her to greater fame, aligning her with one of the era's most famous performers. Tyler's future appeared luminous, marked by talent, beauty, and an undeniable screen presence. On July 3, 1957, mere days after rapping on Jailhouse Rock, Judy Tyler and her second husband, 19-year-old Gregory Lafayette, set out on a drive from Hollywood to their home in New York. They traveled with their pets, a dog and a cat. But the couple's journey across the country ended in tragedy as they traveled through Wyoming on U.S. Route 287 near Rock River. Lafayette, at the wheel, attempted to swerve to avoid a car towing a trailer that was re-entering the highway from a tourist stop. In the split-second maneuver, their car collided head-on with an oncoming vehicle. Tyler was killed instantly, her life cut short at just 24 years old. Lafayette succumbed to his injuries the following day, dying at the age of 19. The crash also claimed the life of 23-year-old Donald D. Jones, a passenger in the other vehicle. The cat and dog also died in the accident. Reports of the accident described a devastating scene. The impact was violent and final, extinguishing Tyler's promising future and leaving the entertainment industry reeling. The loss was felt deeply, not only by her family and friends, but also by the film community. Famously, Elvis Presley, her co-star in Jailhouse Rock, was so affected that he struggled to watch the film they had created together. Tyler's career, though brief, left a lasting impact. Jailhouse Rock would go on to become one of Presley's most famous films, with Tyler's performance celebrated for its warmth and sincerity. Yet the film's success was bittersweet, haunted by the memory of the young actress who never lived to see the acclaim her work garnered. Judy Tyler's funeral took place in New York City,